The story of Patrice Lumumba. In fact, I will not be surprised that some Africans have never heard about Patrice Lumumba. In this era where African schools don't really teach African history, I mean, we learn more about the Queen of England when I was growing up in school than what happened in our own history. And in case you're wondering why you should care about what happened to this man, well, this man, Patrice Lumumba, by the age of 35, had impacted a legacy that so many of our present-day leaders in Africa can only dream of. And he has inspired so many people, and even though he's dead, he's still inspiring people. For you to understand the gravity of what Belgium did in the Congo, we have to go back in time. Before Belgium explorers arrived in the Congo, about 4 million Congolese people had been shipped out as slaves across the Atlantic Ocean to Brazil, to the US, and of course to the Caribbean. But in 1885, King Leopold II took over the country of Congo as his own personal property. That is something that I still cannot wrap my mind around. How anybody can decide that this new country, because of its natural resources and its beauty, is henceforth my personal property. How? We really need to talk about the Berlin Conference someday, when Africa was literally divided among colonialists as if Africa belonged to them. But even before then, even before the Berlin Conference, the US had recognized Belgium as the owner of the Congo. The country of Congo, by the way, is 77 times bigger than the country of Belgium. But because he had soldiers and they had guns, King Leopold, for 23 years, he unleashed the most brutal enslavement in Africa. King Leopold II forced the people of Congo to extract their own natural resources for him to build Belgium. They were not seen as human beings, by the way, the people of Congo. In fact, animals were treated better than them. At least 10 million Congolese people were massacred in the 23 years that King Leopold II was in charge of Congo. Many of them were flogged to death. And we're talking about in the 1800s, 10 million people. The population of Belgium today is 11 million, just to put it in perspective. Now, this is different from the millions of Congolese people whom he cut off their hands and their genitals, whom he starved, whom he held their children as ransom. In fact, he cut off the hands of so many children as well, and he burned down so many villages at a time, because anytime they failed to meet the quota of extracting rubber, among other things. If you see how advanced some Western countries are today, make sure that you also know their history, because many countries were built by Africa's natural resources. Now, the situation in Congo was so bad that there was a public outcry all over the world. There were reports of widespread murder, torture, and other abuses in the rubber plantations, and this led to international outcries against King Leopold II. And so the Belgian government took control of Congo from King Leopold, and they decided to make it a colony of Belgium instead of a country of slaves that are being treated anyhow. So in 1908, Congo became a colony of Belgium, which is also a sad joke, because you can't even compare the two countries population-wise, not to talk about how big, how vast Congo is compared to Belgium. Like I said, Congo is 77 times bigger than the country of Belgium. And as of that time, if the history statistics was anything to go by, the population of Belgium was about 2 million, and the population of Congo as of that time was more than 9 million, according to Statistica.com. And that is despite the fact that for 23 years before that, about 10 million Congolese people had been killed. But then, of course, Belgium had guns, and, you know, they had the army. And though they were now a colony of Belgium, Belgium still treated them as less equal.
Under Belgian rule, natives had virtually no political voice and had no rights to own land or travel around the country as they pleased. Although they could attend primary schools, the only other form of further education available to most natives was either in Catholic seminaries or the colonial army. Only in the year 1950, nearly half a century into the colonial era, were native Congolese permitted to attend the same secondary schools as the children of Belgian settlers.
Just imagine, this is your country. People came to your country and suddenly you are not human anymore. They were not even allowed to be educated beyond secondary school until about the 50s.
While natives were encouraged to train as clerks, traders, miners, and mechanics, They could not become doctors, lawyers, or architects. In sharp contrast to British colonial policy, which generally relied on a level of joint enterprise between natives and the colonial administration, the Belgian approach was aimed at ensuring complete dependence on Belgian manpower and expertise.
It was in the 50s, by the way, that we started knowing about Patrice Lumumba, who was part of the movement for independence in Congo. He was a poet, and many of his writings at that time had anti-imperialist themes, and so it caught the attention of the colonialists. He was also a journalist and a clerk at the post office. So as he became more and more popular with agitations for independence, the authorities wanted to keep him in his place. They wanted to teach him a lesson. So after a study tour in Belgium in 1956, he was accused of embezzling $2,500 from the post office where he worked. And so for that, he was jailed for 12 months. But instead of that keeping him down, that actually made him more determined and more committed to the cause of seeking for independence. He just totally kicked against anybody coming into his country and treating him like an animal. He was only 31 years old at that time, by the way. And then in 1958, when he was 33 years old, was when he founded his own party, the Movement National Congolese, MNC, focusing on independence, state-led economic development, and of course neutrality in foreign affairs. So all this, the fact that he's not dependent on Belgium, put him ahead of his contemporaries. There were other people agitating for independence as well, but they still wanted to be dependent on Belgium. But his philosophy was that Africans don't need to depend and that they have everything they need to be self-sufficient. You guys remember we've talked about how blessed the Democratic Republic of Congo is. The natural resources, the vast rivers, and everything that they have should make them even better than Dubai of today. So that same year, he attended the All-African People's Conference in Accra, Ghana, which was hosted by Ghanaian Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame really loved Patrice, by the way. He really admired him. And this is where his speech in Ghana inspired a lot of Africans of like-minded. And then a year later, Lumumba was arrested for inciting an anti-colonial riot in Stanleyville, Congo. 30 people were killed that time, and then he was sentenced to 6 months in prison. But you know, despite Lumumba being in prison, his party, the MNC, won a majority in the December local elections in the Congo. And as a result of strong pressure from delegates who are upset by Lumumba's trial, he was released and allowed to attend the Brussels conference, where it was decided that Congo would finally and formally become an independent country by June of that year, June 30th of 1960. And then on June 30th, 1960, Patrice became the first Prime Minister of Congo, and he gave a speech that the world did not forget.
Les insultes, les coups que nous devions subir matin, midi et soir, parce que nous étions des nègres. Qui oubliera qu'à un noir, on disait tu, non certes comme à un ami, mais parce que les voix honorables étaient réservées aux seuls blancs.
This man, at the age of 35, spoke without apology about how his people had been treated by Belgium.
Nous avons connu que nos terres furent spoliées au nom des textes prétendument légaux qui ne faisaient que reconnaître les droits du plus fort. Nous avons connu que la loi n'était jamais la même, selon qu'il s'agissait d'un blanc ou d'un noir, accommodante pour les uns, cruelle et inhumaine pour les autres.
We'll definitely put the link to the full speech in the description below so you guys can watch it, but it was packed. That speech did not sit well with Belgium. Keep in mind, by the way, that his speech that day was in response to the speech given by King Baldwin. While he was granting them independence, he went on into praising King Leopold II, saying that he didn't come as a conqueror, but he came to civilize them.
L'indépendance du Congo constitue l'aboutissement de l'œuvre conçue par le génie du roi Léopold II, entreprise par lui avec un courage tenace et continuée avec persévérance par la Belgique.
Il demande surtout de ne rien changer. si on n'est pas sûr de faire mieux.
Nobody criticized King Belgian for what he had said. He said all these things, and the president, they had the prime minister and they had the president. The president, when it was his turn, he just got up and thanked the king for his speech. But when it was time for Patrice to speak, he decided to say what was actually in the minds of so many of the Congolese people. He was not afraid of what could happen.
I think this one is a message to all black people. And this one is a message to everybody out there who loves Africa, to everybody out there who think that Africa is the best continent that you can ever live, or rather, it is your home, it is your motherland, it is where you are born, and it is where you're going to be buried. Watching videos like this really makes people sad. It really gives emotions. It really makes you feel like, indeed, black people, through the hands of the white men, they went through very tough time. Yeah. They did. They really went through a very tough time. And me watching Patrice Lumumba going through what he went through, it really makes me feel so sad. But this is a message to all black people, to all Africans who are out there, considering the fact that right now in Africa we have a leader. His name is Capt.Ibrahim traore. But before the coming of Capt.Ibrahim traore, we had Muammar Gaddafi, we had Thomas Sankara, we had Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, we had Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, we have Patrice Lumumba, we had Thomas Sankara, and we had many other leaders who were there, who wanted the best for the continent, the best for the black people. But as we are speaking today, they are no longer there. They are no longer existing. They are not there. At least they would have been around right now. They would have been living right now. Let me just feel the light, because I don't know. Things have happened in this continent, and sometimes it's difficult to talk about. When Muammar Gaddafi was taken out, we were there. We saw it happening. We did not do anything. Same to Thomas Sankara. We never stood up to say no to it. What happened to Patrice Lumumba is very sad. You seeing a black person betraying a black person, it's very sad. You seeing a black person being the person or being the one who is being used or sent to come and beat you up and hit you and tie you and even kill you, it is very sad. I mean, I think black people should now, it is high time we as black people should get to a point where we can protect our leaders. Because if we continue being used to manipulate our fellow black people, we're going to die. We're not going to make it. It's not going to be very easy on us, and we shall struggle so much to revolve this continent. This continent would not be looking the way it's looking right now. But do you know why this continent is looking the way it's looking right now? It's because we had an opportunity of protecting the leaders who had the visions of this continent, but we were unable to do that. Patrice Lumumba, when he was taken out by black people. Black people were sent to catch him, to beat him up. You've seen that video. To hit him, to make him go through pain. And at the end of the day, he was taken out. It was a black person who was sent to go and capture them. It was a black person who betrayed him, Mobutu Sese Seko, who was existing that time. He wanted power. They were friends with Patrice Lumumba. Patrice Lumumba did not agree with the white people. His narrative was totally against white people. It was against white supremacy. It was really against it. He never wanted it. They saw him as a threat. They did not come to kill him themselves. They used the fellow black people to destroy him completely. And my question is, we as black people, until when? A white person cannot come to Africa and take someone out himself. He's definitely going to use a black person. But my question remains, you as a black person, seeing another black person going down, what comes into your mind? You as a black person being sent to assassinate or to eliminate your fellow black person, what is it that you will have been given to be able to do that? That you cannot see this, my brother, being sent and paid for someone who is even far away from my country. And so what do I gain at the end of it? What do I gain in return? What do I get in return? Will I get something? Am I going to gain something in return? And that is the question we should be asking ourselves before we take a step of taking or hunting down our leaders who are trying to fight for the freedom of our continent and for the freedom of our countries. Look at how Congo is looking like today. Congo is rich in many minerals, but the United States of America is taking over Congo day in, day out, exploiting, sacking every single thing that is in Congo. But if Patrice Lumumba would be existing today with the narratives he had, Congo would not be looking the way it's looking like today. Congo has suffered. There is wars in Congo day in, day out. Every day you wake up, there is war in Congo. You sleep, there is war in Congo. Many, many individuals have died in Congo simply because the foreign powers want what belongs to the Congolese people. But a black person was used to destroy Patrice Lumumba. Patrice Lumumba would be existing today. Congo would not be looking the way it's looking like today. And my question remains, we as black people, do we know what is right? Do we love our brothers? Do we love our sisters? Are we working together? Are we moving in the same direction? Are we thinking the same? Do we want independence? Do we want freedom? Do we want revolution to take place? Do we want this continent to be liberated? Do we or we don't? Capt.Ibrahim Traore once upon a time said, black people are used to destroy black people. Black brother killing a black brother, and you don't know what you're doing. You end up doing something because you've been given something, because you've been given little coins, because you've been given some little money, and you end up destroying the life of an innocent people or innocent person or someone who's supposed to save the continent simply because you've been given something small, something that maybe is not even going to sustain you for the rest of your life. Mobutu Sese Seko ended up dying a very, very terrible death, even after serving white people, even after being used to kill Patrice Lumumba, even after being used to betray Patrice Lumumba. He ended up dying a very terrible death. He was not even buried in Congo. He was buried somewhere in Morocco. So what goes around always comes around. What moves around always comes around. We are black people. We need to protect our fellow youths who are activists, who are fighting for our countries. We need to protect those leaders who are fighting for our countries, who are helping us every day. We need to be able to protect them so much, because if we leave them, they're taken out. When they're taken out, we find nothing to hold our hands on. What West did to Africa was very, 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 very bad. It was very unwanted. It was something that was very much unwanted. Sometimes we hear leaders like Julius Malema complaining every day, Patrice Lumumba complaining every day. But if you don't know why they are complaining, you will think they are making noise and they are not making any sense until you know the reason as to why they are complaining. And you wake up one day, you find one of them is no more. I mean, what is really happening? Can't black people trust black people anymore? Let us not be used to take down the leaders who have come to save us. That video I've seen, I've met the video of Patrice Lumumba being chased and being beaten up, and I've felt so bad. And I feel like it was not supposed to happen in that manner. Black people, Africans, African American, I'm calling upon all of you. Let's protect Capt.Ibrahim Traore. Through all means, let's protect Capt.Ibrahim Traore. Let's protect Abdurrahmani Chiani. Let's protect Assimi Goita. Let's protect PLO Lumumba. Let's protect Dr. Rikana. Let's protect all of them. Let's protect all of them. Let's protect Julius Malema. Let's protect all of them. Because if we do, we are going to survive. Let no black person be used to destroy your fellow black person. It doesn't matter how much you're being paid. It doesn't matter how much money you've been given. But never ever be used to destroy the life of another person who looks like you, who maybe would have even saved you in future. Tell me what you think in the comment section. I'll do my best to make sure I read all the comments and give a response where possible. This is the African Streamline, and I am Atambaheti. For the returning subscribers, I salute you. If it's the first time to be here, do not forget to subscribe. God bless.